Hey there, my name is Utsab, and I'm going to be demoing an app called Power Saver, which I built with the following team for a hackathon. We have Nritya Lakshmi, Priyanka Saigal, and myself. We were the developers. We also had Jenny Say, who helped out with some design. And we're collaborating with Joy Pixley, who's a researcher at UC Irvine, and she studies a problem of people's habits around desktop power usage. So she found a problem uh, around how complicated the user interface is for managing your desktop power settings, which results in people often being very unaware of their true power usage. So for the hackathon that we were participating in, we wanted to create a solution for this problem, and we decided to create a simpler user interface for managing power settings. And we also added a fun fact to help users understand the impact of their energy usage. We also played around with this idea of an incentive, a financial incentive for rewarding or punishing their energy habits, which, just as a caveat, we only did for the hackathon because it required some kind of monetary exchange to take place. This will likely be removed from the next release of the app. So before we get into the demo, one caveat I want to mention is that it's not polished. This was a hackathon again, and we built this thing overnight in 24 hours. The purpose of this is really just to show a proof of concept that it is possible to create a custom user interface that can interact with your computer's sleep settings. So with that said, let's go to Xcode and launch our demo. So the Mac app, we built a native Mac app written in Objective-C, and we can launch it directly from Xcode. It's building, and here we have it. Here's our interface. We have one control for managing your sleep settings, and you can see as you kind of change it, we'll show some stats here. Kilowatts saved per year, and we show a fun fact here equating that number to the pounds of carbon that you are saving from being released into the atmosphere. For the purpose of this demo, we have one setting here for 3 seconds, and if we put it there, we should hopefully see after 3 seconds, computer goes to sleep. And there you have it. I'll quickly show you our financial reward thing because we did implement that. So if you were to click here, it would take you to this website where you can see our PayPal credit card integration. And if you were to enter your credit card info, you would actually get financial rewards and penalties based on your energy habits. So let's get into how this thing works. Okay, so at the core of this app is something called the PM set command. It's a command line tool that's exposed by the Mac operating system, which allows you to change your sleep settings. Let's quickly demo that in isolation so you can see how that works. So we'll open up a terminal, and let's first look at the manual for PM set. You can see here the description: manipulate power management settings. There are all sorts of things you can do with it. The thing we're interested in right now is modifying the sleep settings. So we'll play around with that right now. Before we do, though, let's take a look at our current sleep settings. Right now it's set to 30 minutes. Let's see if we can change it to 15 minutes. So we'll do sudo pm set sleep and 15. It'll ask for the password. And now if we have to open up Energy Saver again, and we should see 15 right there. So this shows that you can use the PM set command to permanently modify your computer's sleep settings. Okay, so that's great, but how do we use this PM set command in the context of our app, and how do we connect it to our user interface? So the next step is to wrap this PM set command, which you see down here. We're going to wrap it inside this ns task object, which is that's a construct inside Objective-C And Objective-C is a language we use to build our Mac app. Now, this NSTask object can then interact directly with our user interface, which is also written in Objective-C, and they can then pass information freely back and forth between each other. Some of the challenges we ran into. So right now, the user interface is only making temporary changes. How is that possible? We just saw that the pmset command makes permanent changes. The reason is that the subtle thing here, to run the pmset command, we had to type this initial prefix sudo. If you don't type that, this is what happens. You'll get this permissions error. You must run as root, which means you have to be an administrator. So your Mac app, by default, doesn't have administrator level permissions. We have to give it those extra permissions in order to make those changes permanent. That's a little bit complicated, but not to worry. There are tutorials that exist that explain how to do that. And specifically, there's something called smjobbless. And here's an example of a tutorial. You can see there's just a lot to read through, and there's a lot of code. But all the information is here. It might just take a couple days to go through that. So it is possible. Okay, so on to the next steps. So like I said, we're planning to give the appropriate administrator level privileges to the app. And what else do we want to do? So we want to add some more controls to the UI. So bringing up the UI one more time. Again, we just have one setting here for your sleep settings. We also wanted to have a setting for your display settings. So how many minutes do you wait before you turn your monitor off? We also wanted to have a warning that might pop up if there is excessive power usage. Like suppose your computer hasn't gone to sleep in days, we should show some kind of a warning there. And then once the app is in a polished state, we want to share the code with Joy Pixley, who can hopefully deploy it at UC Irvine as part of the next phase of her research. Finally, more as an experiment, we want to play around with some different kinds of incentives. One idea that came up was to hook it up to this website called Habit RPG, which is a way to motivate yourself to do different kinds of habits. You see I have a couple here, like flossing and saying some positive affirmation to myself when I wake up. You can earn points and play with your friends. So just an idea. It's all Habit RPG is totally open source, so we could easily write a feature that could connect our interface with points that you can earn on Habit RPG. In conclusion, what we've shown here again is a proof of concept that we can successfully make a customizable interface that can interact with the computer sleep settings. I want to say thanks again to our team, Nritya Lakshmi, Priyanka Saigal, and Jenny Say. Their email addresses are listed out here in case anybody wants to contact them to make their own Mac app or any other kind of web app. And finally, I want to say thanks to Joy Pixley, who was right there with us, working around our schedule at the hackathon. We were up for 24 hours, and she was very helpful in answering our questions whenever we needed help. So thanks again, everybody. Thanks for watching.